The Peasant Revolt of 1381 happened for many reasons. These reasons include the Statute of Laborers, which was a law that kept the peasants' wages low, work service, which is when the peasants work for their lord, paying tithes, which is paying 10% of their earnings to the church, the 100 Years' War, the poll tax, which is a tax on every person to pay for the war, and each person paid the same amount whether you're rich or poor, and the Black Death, which killed about 1/3 of the population. All these reasons put a heavy burden on the peasants, and that is why they decided to take a stand. Now let's take these causes into more depth. The Statute of Laborers was a big burden on the peasants because it kept their wages low. This law was created by English Parliament in 1351 in response to the labor shortage that was occurring due to the Black Death, which killed about 1/3 of the population, and how more laborers were demanding higher wages, which led to inflation of the economy. This law specifically prohibited any increase in wages for the peasants and also prohibited workers from moving to find better working conditions. The law set a maximum wage for workers and required any man under 60 to work. Luckily for the peasants, the law was poorly executed and did not keep wages from increasing, but peasants also had to work for their lord, which was generally called serfdom under feudalism. They usually had to work 1 to 3 days a week for their lord for free, but they did receive protection. This work service was very difficult for most peasants because it was work added on top of what they already had to do every day to support their families. Another huge burden peasants had to face was paying tithes, which was when they had to pay 10% of their earnings to the church. A tithe was a tax on all the produced goods a farmer had produced over the past year. This tax could be paid in money or kind, which is seeds, produce, or equipment. Peasants already get paid very little, and taking away 10% of their earnings just made it that much more difficult to support themselves and their family. On top of paying the tithe tax, the peasants had to pay the poll tax as well. The poll tax was a tax on every person in the land to help pay for the 100 Years' War. The same amount was taxed on every single person, whether you were rich or poor. This tax was very unpopular, as someone can imagine, because the peasants were already getting taxed enough, and this just made it almost impossible to support a family. Most of these taxes were because of the Black Death and how it killed 1/3 of their population. Most of these taxes were needed to fill in for all the missing people and laborers. So with all these taxes and other services, the peasants finally got fed up and took a stand in 1381. The stand began in Essex, which is a county in England that directly borders London. It started on May 30th, 1381, when John Bampton, an English Parliament member, arrived. He was there to collect unpaid poll taxes in Brentwood, which later ended violently. Soon after that, many artisans and village officials began to protest, which also contained many violent acts such as burning and looting buildings. These rebels were led by John Ball and Wat Tyler when they marched to London to continue their protest. They arrived in London on June 13th, where they were joined by many more people and began to destroy the Savoy Palace, burn books and buildings, and even kill anyone that was associated with the government. The next day, King Richard II met with the rebels at Mile End, where he agreed to abolish serfdom. Other rebels went inside the Tower of London and killed the Lord Chancellor and the Lord High Treasurer. On June 15th, Richard met with Wat Tyler and some rebels, which eventually came to violence, and Tyler was killed. Richard gained control and got an army of 4,000 soldiers to restore order. Almost all the rebel leaders were executed, and more than 1,500 were killed by November.